Here's your heads up to this 5-minute quickie. And my meta tag for this was, take a second look, because people really aren't their behaviours. And when you get this, it will change the way you communicate with people, the way you connect, really connect. And you'll also learn something about yourself. So have a little listen, because I think it will change the way you are and the way you react and the way you connect. And we all want to connect in a better way. We all want to communicate in a better way. So have a listen. I think you'll find it really interesting.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hi everybody, Paul here from Personal Development Unplugged. And briefly, last FMQ, we mentioned about the presuppositions of NLP. NLP being neuro-linguistic programming, which I'm a trainer in and a master prac in and things like that. But NLP presuppositions, what are they? Well, they're a set of what we call convenient assumptions. And one of them, we talked about it, was people are not their behaviours. Now, bear with me, because I think you're going to learn, certainly I learned an awful lot of this, or a lot from this, rather. You see, my story. The last couple of weeks, I have been having a mare of a time. Everything going wrong. I say everything, but it seemed to me, my whole world, everything was going wrong, from bits about my health, bits about computers, bits about everything you could think of I was trying to do just seemed to go, well, I went into nothing. And it was so frustrating, and I wasn't feeling good, and I wasn't feeling well in myself. And I try to keep things to myself and my journal. But you see, try. That's being the word for failure, isn't it? If there is such thing as failure. But, try. When you try to do things, it means you're probably not going to be able to do it. And you see, while I was trying to keep all my negative stuff and my down stuff and things like that, I thought I was carrying it off. People didn't notice. But you see, of course they do. They notice they certainly notice my non-verbals, just the way I was walking, the way I was just being in the world at that particular time. Also, more noticeable was my dialogue with people. They were short, curt replies. I guess my tone of voice was pretty crap as well. Everything about me said I wasn't feeling good. And I certainly wasn't behaving in a nice way. And, some people might say, oh, you're bloody moody, Cluffy. Go on, don't talk to me like that. And in that way, they would be reacting to my behaviours, because my non-verbal cues are behaviours. My tone of voice is, in effect, a behaviour. The way I acted and I was being Cluffy in this world was a communication. And they're right in some ways, because I was moody. Even though I kept saying, no, I'm fine. I even said it like that, oh, no, I'm fine. But the thing is, how often when you see other people in that type of communication, do you think, that's not your behaviour, or that's not you. You're just behaving in a moody way, a down way. I wonder what's going on. I wonder what's going on behind the scenes in your world. Because, maybe. I'm not saying people didn't do this, because I did try to hide most of it. But even going to my yoga lesson, a couple of people said, are you all right? And I was just walking into a yoga class. Now, that's weird when people are picking this up. But can you think of a similar instance like this from maybe a colleague at work? maybe someone closer to you at home, when they're just complaining about things. If it's at work, the photocopier isn't working. Oh, my connection with the internet isn't working. This has gone wrong. People aren't talking to me. But. And you see, that maybe not be the real message that's going on. It's the effect of something else that's going on behind the surface in their own private world, maybe. The cause is below the surface. And sometimes we can react. We can behave in a way that is set up by that negative behavior from them. We can take offense by it. We can get moody by it. We can tell them off. We can have that passive reaction, which we just know is just not nice. Passive aggressive, isn't it? But you see, this is what happens in the real world. But when you go back to this presupposition of people are not their behaviors, we might want to think a little bit of what is happening. If it's us, and this is what I've got to do, I've got to maybe just apologise and say, there are things going on. I don't want to talk about it. So can you bear with me? I'm going to be a grumpy old cluffy and just bear with me for a little bit. And when you do that, I think you'll find there's compassion for you because you're being open, honest, aligned, being the real you, being a little bit vulnerable, all those wonderful words, but you're being really you. And you're just asking for a little bit of help, even if it's only just that little bit of support by just bear with me. And if you see somebody who's close to you doing that, you just have to say, you don't seem like yourself, your normal self. Anything I can do to help? Or do you just want space? Offer that compassion. The other way, and there is another way, in NLP terms again, perceptual positions. And I'll tell you a very quick story. I was running an NLP training group. We used to meet once a month in the evening and just practice NLP. So it's like a practice group. And one of the ladies there had a real problem with her daughter. She said she's really not speaking to me very much and I just can't get through to her. And I get cross, she gets cross, and we're just not really speaking. And I know that's not her. But it was her. Obviously it was her because she was there in front. But something wasn't right. And so what we did was we did this perceptual positions. I got this mother, this woman, to stand in a particular place and look at another place in front of her and imagine her daughter there. Imagine her daughter and say what she'd like to say. And then when she said it, I got her to move from that space to go and stand in the space where she imagined her daughter to be and become her daughter just for a moment or two and listen to the words as she looked back at where she was, where she'd been, and listen to the words, how it came across. How did her daughter take the words, that communication? And then, from that learning of being the daughter, she would actually be the daughter just for a moment or two and say the words back to Mum, what she felt she would be saying. And then she'd go back to the space where she previously occupied, look back at her daughter, listen to those words coming back. And maybe she just had this conversation backwards and forwards for a moment or two. And then we got her to stand to the side. And in fact, I got a table out. She stood on top of the table so she could look down at the two spaces where she'd previously occupied and she imagined her daughter to occupy. And she looked down, imagining seeing herself and her daughter going through that very same conversation. And from this meta level, this dissociated, unemotional, because we're dissociated, we don't get the emotion, we can just take on some learnings from that. Now you can say, well, that's all very well, Paul, but what happened? Because he's standing in different positions talking. You're not really talking to the daughter. But here's the weird thing. When I saw this lady again, she said, I can't believe it, Paul. I saw my daughter and different words came out of my mouth. I don't know why, obviously from what we'd learned, but I changed my tone. I changed the way my physiology, I didn't have to do it. I just did it. And I just seemed to say the right words, which suddenly triggered in my daughter said, Mum, can you come and sit on the settee with me? I want to just talk to you about what's happening. And I got half of it, she said, Paul. I don't know how, but I got it just by going through that exercise. But the thing is, we had a wonderful conversation. It made so much difference. And it's all down to that little exercise, which lasted about 10 minutes at the most, going from one position, first position, to second position, seeing through the eyes of that other, feeling, understanding, learning from that other, backwards and forwards, and then going to that meta position to get even more learnings and bringing them back into you. That's awesome, isn't it? And guess what? If you go to the hypnosis tracks on paulcloughonline.com/podcast, there's a perceptual positions exercise there anyway to allow you to go through this with people. So, because the thing is, when people are really close, I believe it's great to do this type of exercise first. Because when you do it, it's like pre-rehearsing and learning in a different way. So when you do broach the question, you do say, could I help you? You don't quite seem yourself. You'll probably say the words in a different way. And that communication, that non-verbal communication will be taken on. Your physiology will be different. Your tonation will be different. The words you use will be different. And you'll be coming from a place of real compassion. And that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah. I wonder if you could think of someone in your life that could want that help, that compassion. Maybe there's someone even closer to home. If you really looked inside, oh, there you go. And you can do it with yourself. And see how you're talking to yourself and how it's being received on the inside. Learn so much. And when you use those learnings, you're going to create a completely different life, an amazing life. You know, when you start with compassion for yourself, and that's a bloody hard thing to do, then you can just be so compassionate with other people. And it makes such a difference to you, to them, the people around the world, everything. It's so ecological. And you learn. And then you just say to yourself, how can I use these learnings in the future? So they'll be with me whenever they need them. They'll be there. They will be for you. Hey, that was just a little talk about me having a real crap couple of weeks. But hopefully it's come out with a nice little podcast for you. A nice thought. Get your imagination going. If you enjoyed that, as always, send me an email at feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. I certainly reply. You never know. You might even get a gift. Done it before. A little hypnosis gift. And let me know your takeaway from this, or what you've learned, or if you need any more help. And I'll do the best I can, because that's what we do here. We're part of the Personal Development Unplugged community, family, whatever you want to call it. We're here to support each other. And by doing that, this integrated field of learning just gets bigger, stronger, and you can just really change the world you live in by changing the you that you live in. Yeah. Have more fun than you can stand. And remember, why don't you share this? Share this podcast with just one person today, and then one person tomorrow, and one person after that. What would happen if we all did that? And why not subscribe? It's so easy to do. Find the platform of your choice. If it's iTunes or it's Castbox or any others, there's loads of them. Search for either Paul Clough or Personal Development Unplugged, and then there's a big subscribe button. Press that subscribe button, and it'll be there. You get the podcast twice a week, on a Wednesday and a Saturday. Never have to look any further. And if you would, why not put one of those reviews up? Because that would be awesome, because that just moves it around this integrated field of learning, as it were, and becomes and gets in front of other people. Which is what we want, isn't it? To be the change we want to see in others and help others change to be the change they want to see in themselves. There you go. I'm going to speak to you real soon. Hope you enjoyed it. Have fun. Enjoy every heartbeat.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.